homework set that will give you 2 sets of data and say, look at these sets of data and give the following information. Now they may ask you to change some data, they may just ask you to compare them heads up. But when you look at this data set, do both of these classes have the same number of people? It's harder to do here because it's hard to put your fingers on an account. I understand that, okay? But the first data set has 10 people. The second set has 10 people. Both of them happen to be arranged sequentially already. That would be great for us if we had this in print. But does the calculator care? No. So the data being arranged sequentially makes what easy to find? Does it make the mean easy to find? The mean still takes a little bit of typing in there, right? But the range is pretty easy to find. So what's the range of data in the first set of values? Well, that's going to end up being your 98 minus the 40. So you come up with a range of 58. What's the range in the second set of data? Well, that's going to be a 77 minus 65, which is going to give you 12. The first data set, the values are very much alike or very much different. The second set, the data are more alike or more different? More alike. So because they're more alike, there's not going to be as much standard or average or typical deviation. Agreed? So this kind of relates down to this last question that's asked down here. I'm kind of expecting S of X is larger for Monday, Wednesday than Tuesday or Thursday because it's got a bigger overall spread. So its standard deviation would be expected to be bigger. But I'm still going to pull that number out of the calculator. I'm not going to try and calculate it by hand, right? Okay? So go back up to the data set. What else is easy to get without having to use the calculator? Median. Median, because it looks for what kind of a split? Half and half, 50-50. So I got 10 data items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wouldn't that make my median value fall right between 67 and 77? Which would make my median value 72. Halfway between 67 and 77, right? How far apart are 67 and 77? 10 units apart. What's half of 10? 5. What's 77 minus 5? What's 67 plus 5? So you could do it without having to do much of a calculator operation, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't this median also going to be halfway in between? Isn't it also going to turn out to be 72? So is it possible for 2 data sets to have the same median but have extremely different ranges and standard deviations? And that might trigger also the mean values are not going to be the same. But could the means be the same? We don't know. But we know that we can find comparative data out here, which they're asking to do. Now what about the mode? In the first data set, the mode's 77. And in the second data set, the mode's also 77. So the modes could be the same. So now we're down to crunch time. It's now time for us to actually find out what the mean values are and then find out for sure what the standard deviation values are. So we need to go to the calculator and put stuff into the calculator again. So calculator goes on. We go into stat, edit, we clean list number 1. But I wasn't, okay, now in this case I made a mistake because I didn't move myself up into the label. I have to be in the label and I have to clear the data from here and then enter. Okay, so now it's just typing.
Can you put a comma up in there while you're typing it?
Not in this list. If I do it from the home screen, I separate everything with a comma, whereas on this list, I separate everything with an enter key. Okay? It's just a difference of approach to the problem. You don't have to be able to do it short. None of the data sets you have are that long that you couldn't just type them in here. And one of the safe things about this is you can actually see how many you've typed in, so you don't miss one accidentally. Makes it easier for the video to find too. Okay, so 67, 77 twice, 85, 95, 98, and I sure enough have 10 data values in. But there's a simple mistake that would ruin my comparison. That was a 77, easy fix. Now, there's nothing wrong with going ahead and doing list number 2 right away because it takes up to 6 lists. So you don't have to keep erasing and typing over, erasing, typing over, erasing, typing over. 65, 66, 67, 68, 71, 73, 74, and 77 3 times. Okay, so I double checked that to make sure I didn't do any simple type over mistake types of the problems. Now I'm ready to do calculation. Staff, calculate one variable statistics using the left-hand set of data, which is in my list number 1. Mean value turns out to be 71.5. And while I'm here, standard deviation turned out to be 18.3. If I do the same thing with list number 2, mean value turns out to be 71.5, exactly the same as the first one. But standard deviation turns out to be 4.8. 2 data sets can have the same mean, the same median, the same mode, but be very different from one another when we start comparing them by their typical spread in the problem. Larger standard deviation agreed with a larger range. Smaller standard deviation agreed with a smaller range. The second screen here was kind of, I pulled this from a review type of exercise. The second screen, or the second set of data, was all about 5-number summary. I don't think we need to do 5-number summary, but this would also verify that we can have a lot of the things being the same, but still have some differences in the problem. And I think that that was about the extent of what was done on this particular assignment. There were any more slides on this particular set of stuff that we dealt with in there. So what does that mean to us from the standpoint of the questions? Well, there's 23 questions.